There was a time when sound alone could reveal an entire world. Before thumbnails, before previews, before games filled rooms with cinematic audio, recognition happened in seconds, sometimes without even seeing the screen. You'd be walking past a room and hear a tiny sound, and instantly know the exact game being played. Not just the console, not just the genre, the exact game. Back then, audio wasn't decoration, it was identity. Developers knew players might only hear their game briefly, so every sound had to carry meaning. That's why the coin sound from Super Mario Bros. Became one of the most recognizable noises in entertainment history. It wasn't complex, it wasn't realistic, but it told you everything. Progress, reward, movement. Mario's jump added personality. The pipe entry sound felt like descending into a secret space. Those sounds weren't just feedback, they were storytelling. And because hardware limitations forced simplicity, developers chose tones that cut through noise. The same philosophy defined Pac-Man. That chomp sound is almost mechanical, yet instantly alive. Arcades were loud environments, full of overlapping machines, voices, and movement. Pac-Man's audio had to be unmistakable, so it became rhythmic, repetitive, and impossible to ignore. Even decades later, hearing that loop doesn't just remind you of the game. It reminds you of a place, a dark arcade corner, a living room with a CRT glow. Sega approached identity differently. The ring sound from Sonic the Hedgehog felt optimistic when you collected rings, and terrifying when you lost them. That cascade of sound created emotion without words. You could hear someone lose rings from another room and immediately imagine Sonic bouncing backwards in panic. Sound became a shared language between players. Fighting games turned audio into spectacle. The voice line Hadouken from Street Fighter II wasn't just an attack. It was a cultural moment. Arcade cabinets competed for attention, so Capcom created sounds that felt strong and human. Even people who never played the game recognized that voice. And then came the booming authority of Mortal Kombat. Finish him. Those two words changed the atmosphere in any room. They created anticipation. They created tension. They made spectators lean forward. Parents noticed those sounds too, not because of gameplay, but because the voice carried weight. Sound wasn't just gameplay feedback anymore. It became cultural noise. As games moved into the late 90s, audio became more cinematic but still recognizable. The alert tone in Metal Gear Solid is only a fraction of a second long, yet it triggers an instant reaction. That tiny electronic sound represented failure, urgency, and surprise. You didn't need a cutscene to understand what happened. Your heart rate changed immediately. Valve's design philosophy showed that subtle sounds could be just as powerful. The HEV suit voice in Half-Life wasn't loud or dramatic. It was calm, clinical, but because you heard it constantly, it became familiar, almost comforting. Meanwhile, the sentry guns in Portal used soft, polite voices to create something unsettling. Recognition didn't come from volume, it came from personality. Music also blurred into sound identity. The opening notes of Type A music from Tetris became synonymous with focus. Those notes didn't just signal gameplay, they signaled rhythm. You could hear them anywhere and instantly feel the urge to rotate blocks in your head. Open-world games created atmosphere through recurring audio cues. Police sirens in Grand Theft Auto 3 weren't just background noise, they meant consequences. You could hear them growing louder and feel tension build even before the chase began. Classic beat-em-ups relied on exaggerated sound design to sell impact. The punch sound in Double Dragon didn't aim for realism, it aimed for weight. Each hit felt larger than life, because the audio exaggerated reality. Sports games found identity through branding. The EA, It's in the Game intro from Madden, FIFA, and NHL became part of gaming culture. Before gameplay even started, that voice told you exactly what kind of experience you were about to have. Fantasy games leaned into mythic identity. The dragon shout from the Elder Scrolls V. Skyrim turned a gameplay mechanic into a cultural phrase. Fus Ro Dah left the game and entered everyday conversation. Survival games created recognition through fear. The creeper hiss in Minecraft is barely audible, yet instantly terrifying. That tiny sizzle triggers panic faster than any visual warning. And then there's Halo. Combat evolved. The shield recharge sound represents relief. You hear it and immediately know you survived long enough to recover. Even the first note of Halo's chant-like soundtrack carries identity. What makes all of these sounds powerful isn't complexity. It's repetition. Back then, we didn't jump between dozens of games every week. We played the same ones endlessly, and repetition turned small sounds into permanent memories. You don't just remember the games, you remember the moments tied to them. The room you were in, the people around you, the feeling when you heard that sound again years later. Modern games often have incredible sound design, but the sheer volume of audio can dilute identity. Retro and early-era games had fewer sounds, and that scarcity made each one matter more. One sound could define an entire franchise. One tone could bring an entire era rushing back. And that's why, even now, a single noise drifting through a room can make you stop and think, I know that game. Because sound isn't just part of gaming history, it's part of personal memory.